In grammar, the term particle has two different meanings. Traditional meaning. A particle is a part of speech which cannot be inflected, that is, it can be neither declined nor conjugated. Particles are the adverb, the preposition, the conjunction and the interjection. Modern meaning. In modern grammar, a particle is a function word that must be associated with another word or phrase to impart meaning, i.e., does not have its own lexical definition. On this definition, particles are a separate part of speech and are distinct from other classes of function words, such as articles, prepositions, conjunctions and adverbs. Particles are typically words that encode grammatical categories, clitics, or fillers or discourse markers such as well, etc. Particles are never inflected. Languages vary widely in how much they use particles, some using them extensively and others more commonly using alternative devices such as prefixes, suffixes, inflection, auxiliary verbs and word order. Related concepts and ambiguities depending on context. The meaning of the term may overlap with such notions as morpheme, marker, or even adverb as in English phrasal verbs such as out in, get out. Under a strict definition, which demands that a particle be uninflected, English dialects like this and that would not be classed as such, and neither would Romance articles. The foregoing assumes that any function word incapable of inflection is by definition a particle. However, that definition conflicts with the statement that particles have no specific lexical function per se, since non-inflecting words that function as articles, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections, etc., clearly do have lexical function. The difficulty disappears if particles are taken to be a separate class of words, one of whose characteristics is that they do not inflect. In different languages, English, infinitival and adverbial particles the infinitive to, as in to walk, although this can also be viewed as an integral part of the infinitive form of the verb. Adverbial portions of phrasal verbs, such as often we put it off too long, although these can also be viewed as adverbs or prepositions. The negator not, although this is arguably better defined as an adverb. Interjections, sentence connectors, and conjunctions. If a particle is defined simply as any function word that cannot be inflected, then conjunctions, prepositions and interjections would be classed as particles, although they are traditionally classed as separate parts of speech based on their function. According to this definition, the English definite article "the" would also be a particle as it is uninflected, only changes form for euphony, inserting an "n" before words that start with a vowel. It can be considered to be inflected since in the plural it is omitted or replaced by some. German. A German modal particle serves no necessary syntactical function, but expresses the speaker's attitude towards the utterance. Modal particles include ja, halt, doch, aber, denn, schon and others. Some of these also appear in non-particle forms. Aber, for example, is also the conjunction but. In ist Amerikaner, aber spricht gut Deutsch, he is American, but he speaks good German. Aber is a conjunction connecting two sentences. But in spricht aber gut Deutsch, the aber is a particle, with the sentence perhaps best translated as, what good German he speaks. The particles appear more often in relaxed spoken and casually written registers of German. Chinese. In Chinese, particles are one of two major word classes. The other class includes noun, verbs and adjectives. Linguists do not agree on whether or not Chinese pronouns and adverbs should be classified as particles. Japanese and Korean. The term particle is often used in descriptions of Japanese and Korean, where they are used to mark nouns according to their case or their role in a sentence or clause. These particles may function as endings and therefore as bound morphemes rather than independent words, in particular in Old Japanese. Some of these particles are best analyzed as case markers and some as postpositions. There are sentence tagging particles such as Japanese and Chinese question markers. Tai also has particles. Polynesian languages are almost devoid of inflection, and use particles extensively to indicate mood, tense, and case. Suggs, discussing the deciphering of the Rono script of Easter Island, describes them as all-important. In Maori, for example, the versatile particle e can signal the imperative mood, the vocative case, the future tense, or the subject of a sentence formed with most passive verbs. The particle I signals the past imperfect tense, the object of a transitive verb or the subject of a sentence formed with neuter verbs, as well as the prepositions in, at and from.